Talk Live. We're at Anarchapulco for day number 2 of what will be an all-weekend-long event with Ben Swann right over there. There's lots of folks here that our listeners know from previous episodes of Free Talk Live. We'll hear from some of them throughout the weekend and already have, but also meeting new faces as well. And that's one of the things you do at an event with almost 3,000 people. I've heard 2,500 are expected here. I don't know, how many we're going to end up getting, because I imagine people are still arriving, as we speak.
My room was chock full. I had standing room only in the room that I was in.
And that was yesterday.
Yeah, that was Cryptopulco, and it was really exciting. One of the speakers who got to enjoy all those listeners, those people in the room, was Hannah Rosenberg. Hannah, welcome to Free Talk Live.
Hola. Thanks for having me.
The reason I grabbed you was I was really impressed with one of the things you said on stage, which was you've kind of got this list of reasons you think that crypto will be adopted at some point on a mass scale. Could you explain that?
Sure. Well, I've been, in 2014, right? I came back to Chicago and I wanted to set up a business. I did set up a business to help people integrate crypto payments, right? And so I've been doing that since 2014 and talking to people and watching the reasons why they are taking crypto, why they aren't taking crypto. And I'm also an e-commerce web developer, right? So I've worked with existing, we call them legacy, traditional, payment systems, right? And when you work with credit cards, we could get into it, the whole PCI compliance, all the things you have to do, the honeypots that it creates. Well, it's not so much of a pain. There's a lot of tools to work with it, but PCI compliance, right?
That's what I mean. That's a pain.
That is a huge pain. And this is also why we have so much credit card fraud, so many hacks, all of this sort of stuff. And crypto is just, for those reasons, it's just dramatically better technology.
Yeah. Right. Credit cards suck for the internet.
They do. They were built, over 50 years ago, and I'm sure they were fantastic, cutting-edge technology at that time. So good job, people.
Roll of bills in your pocket.
Oh, yeah, but it was never made for the internet, right? And you'd say credit cards are pull, right? You can pull money out of someone's account when you have a credit card, when they have the credit card information. But crypto is push. You can only push money to someone. So it's push versus pull, very different. Very, very different scenario.
Yeah, if credit cards were created for the internet, they were created for internet fraud, because there's a lot of that goes on.
That's how they're functioning today, yes.
They function as internet fraud.
Yes.
And that's not the worst thing in the world for the shopper. They're not going to be robbed. They're only, just liable for $50, but it's the huge pain of having your accounts hacked.
Oh, yeah, and just constantly going
day.
through that. And then that for merchants that have to deal with that, like they, there's going to be chargebacks because of fraud, like all of that. Someone has to bear that cost, and that gets worked into the price of things,
We work with a guy who does an internet business. He sells privacy-oriented Linux computers across the world, and he says that when you look at the credit card fee of, say, 3%, that's not actually what the fees are. It's really more like 6% once you factor in all the chargebacks and having to deal with all the time and the effort and the losses that you end up taking because of that.
Yep.
It's ridiculous.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
What are some of the other reasons that crypto, you believe that it'll see adoption?
Well, it's dramatically better tech, which is why I think it'll see adoption. I think there are a lot of, as I described it, right, I started my crypto career, right, saying, I'm just going to do this thing. I'm just going to do crypto integrations. I'm going to do that and the other thing. And then you realize that all the tools you want to go do that you expect to be there aren't really there, right? So as I described, I spent my crypto career building the rungs on the ladder to get to where I want to go, right? So it is dramatically better tech, which is why people will use it. There's things that we need to have happen, such as dramatically better security. So we're not all, storing some seed, worth, $100,000 in our mother's basement, or something like that. We need dramatically better security systems, which are in progress and being worked on. Improved tax situation and, security, and it has to be really difficult for someone to lose their money, right? It's
not that difficult now,
right?
Oh,
It's so easy. I organize the Bitcoin Open Blockchain meetup in Chicago, and I talk to a lot of crypto people all the time. And after 4 or 5 beers, everyone starts to tell you about that one time they lost that one private, that private key.
63 Bitcoins.
Oh
63.
Man! Everyone has this story, right?
Yeah.
And if we're the crypto nerds that are supposed to know what we're doing, like the average user who's not tech savvy doesn't stand a chance. So we really need to see that stuff happen.
I think mine was 2012, just to be
Oh yeah. No, all sorts of painful stories. I've screwed a few things up myself, so it's like, so we need that to happen.
Right. Well, one of the things I hear when I talk to the gal that works the counter at Local Burger in Keene, New Hampshire, where you can go and spend your what are all the currencies? Bitcoin Cash, Dash, a whole bunch of stuff there to buy a burger and a soda and a beer or whatever it is you want.
Yep.
Is that she's terrified using it. So that's what she said. She's terrified. She's terrified using a point of sale software.
Yes.
I mean, it's the easy AnyPay.
Wait, she's terrified accepting it.
She just said she just finds it terrifying
because she doesn't know she could lose it. It's not backed by someone. There's no one that's going to bail you out.
Right.
If you screw up with the debit card, the bank saves you. If you screw up with the Trezor, no one saves you.
Yeah. Right.
So it's those systems that have to be much better.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, with AnyPay.global, the point of sale system that they use there, it should be really, really easy. It is easy.
It is.
Yeah.
But
it couldn't be any easier.
She's just scared, and it's
new,
it's the market.
And it's scary, and we're all used to trusting things when the government backs it or when there's a big bank behind it, when some authority backing it, and there isn't that in crypto. So as I was talking about in the talk, I think we all need to just examples the best way to change people's mind. If we all just use crypto and be good examples so that people are less afraid of it, I think that'd be really helpful.
Every once in a while, we'll get some cranky guy who calls in on Free Talk Live and it's like, why in the world would I want to use crypto? Now, the pat answer that I give him is go to saveatpurse.com, and you can save between 15 and 30% on anything that you buy at Amazon, and it's a great opportunity. Saveatpurse.com.
Yep.
Why wouldn't you want to save at Amazon? And then Walmart or whatever he says, whatever it is after that. Well, you got any other answers that I might give Mr. Cranky Pants?
Yeah, well, 2. One that's probably only going to apply directly to Mr. Cranky Pants, and that is this is dramatically better tech. And it is because it's just so much better than what else is out there. This is coming. This wave is coming.
Right.
Do you want to be on top of it or not? Right.
This is the next step forward in currency. We had.
Absolutely,
I mean, I'd call credit cards an advance in currency, no doubt about it.
At the time, it sure was.
Now, 50 years later, we're ready for another advance in currency, and Bitcoin is it. You can be in the front. You can be in the back.
Yes, and second one, which Mr. Cranky Pants might not care about, is that we have such a Western perspective on this stuff, right? And we think about it, I even do, think about it in the terms of that little diner that I go to have lunch at, like their perspective. But we have the best financial services in the world, and that's sad because our financial services still suck. But we have the best financial services in the world, and there are so many people that don't have anywhere near what we have. And to them, there is that immediate utility for it. And so this is happening.
Right, where they can just download a wallet, and then within seconds they have an account. They don't have to sit at some bank branch, wait for 2 hours before they can apply, and then hope that they're going to get approved. And this old money financial system moves so slowly.
So slow. And
Bitcoin
so many
is so much
fees.
better.
Yeah, it's just,
What about remittances? So there are a lot of people that work in the United States that send a little money back home to mom and dad or the homeland brothers and sisters. I don't know what they're doing exactly. And they pay a great deal to organizations like Western Union to send money back and forth. Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Dash, a variety of these cryptocurrencies makes it really easy to send this stuff back for pennies.
So the problem with that is and I totally believe that's going to be a big thing, but it's that completing the loop. So you send money to your mother in the Philippines, but then how does she use that crypto to buy something at the grocery store? So there's that completing that loop aspect. It's kind of a chicken or the egg sort of thing. So I think it's going to happen with example. It's going to happen slowly, and then once people say, maybe I will accept this Bitcoin thing, then that's going to be huge. I am also starting to see it happen in international commerce. So big businesses starting to study crypto for exchange with their business partners. I'm starting to see some of that.
I wonder if money transmitters like Western Union are looking at how can they integrate this, because it's either they're either the dinosaur or they're the Megalozorastrodon.
Yes. Yeah.
Hannah Rosenberg from the blockchaininstitute.org. Thank you for coming on Free Talk Live. I appreciate it. And more coming up here in moments from Anarchapulco 2019.
Woo-hoo.
You can learn more about the event at Anarchapulco.com. It's Free Talk Live. This is Free Talk Live. We are at Anarchapulco 2019, and all kinds of interesting folks here at the event. You are still welcome to join us if you're all the way on or already on your way down here. We'll look forward to seeing you. Otherwise, plan for next year. I hear there's already going to be an Anarchapulco 2020. So, joining me here in our remote studio is Mark Emery, but this is not the one from Canada that many of our listeners may be familiar with. This is Mark with a K, Emery, from LighthouseLaw.club, the Lighthouse Law Club. Mark, welcome to Free Talk Live.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, happy to have you here. Now, what is it that the Lighthouse Law Club does?
The Lighthouse Law Club is a self-study, self-help group. Some people think that, we have attorneys. We don't deal with attorneys. We teach people to be self-sufficient without attorneys. And the whole objective is to avoid the problem that people are just getting raped by the courts, by the system, by tyranny, basically at every level. We're getting raped psychologically. We're getting raped emotionally. We're getting raped financially. Mm-hmm. And the system preys on people's ignorance.
Sure does.
And so our objective is to remove that ignorance and teach people how to win in dealing with tyrants in government when they start stepping on your rights, abusing you, trying to steal from you. Government and the courts, it's a business. It's not about justice or what's fair. It's about a business, and they're trying to milk us all like cows on the corporate plantation.
Well, I've been in there. I've watched countless court hearings where they just ring the cash register, one person after the next, plea deal after plea deal after plea deal, and it's $100 here, $500 there. I mean, by the end of the day, they're up tens of thousands of dollars.
And beyond the obvious, they are able to create bonds with each case number that comes up, and they trade those bonds on the market. Nobody knows about that.
Now, okay, so
that's where the big money is.
I've heard this theory before. Now, how do you prove that claim? Because that's a pretty big claim.
There are organizations that can locate a QSIP number. That's a securities tracking number, and they've traced that to the case number. That people have researched that and made that direct link. Huh. And found that on the securities registration. In fact, there are people who have done that with their own Social Security number. And they're finding registered in the securities databases dozens and dozens of companies trading on bonds created from your own birth certificate and Social Security number.
Sounds really creepy.
Oh, man. Is it ever? We have to understand that this is not a political battle. It's not a financial war. It's not an ideological war. We're dealing really at a spiritual level. The earth is covered in a blanket of evil, and it has risen to the point where in the old days they used to hide it from people, right? Now it's all out in the open. All right, so we have to look at it from that standpoint and deal with it really on a spiritual level as well as on a ground level with what we can do, with our own human means.
What was it that opened you up to all this? Because like you said, this kind of information is hidden from people. So what clued you in?
I was working many years ago for an insurance company, and I earned a nice little bonus, and I was still filing my taxes at the time. And the IRS felt that they were entitled to a significant portion of my bonus. Mm-hmm. And I thought, you know what? You didn't work for it. I did.
Right.
I earned it. You're not getting it. And so at the time, I was exposed to an organization that was researching the IRS and how to deal with these people. And I got involved with that group. And once I discovered the fraud that was involved in the IRS, with the IRS, I thought to myself, well, if it's like this with this group, what else is out there? And so that led me on the rabbit trail, starting to, pick up the breadcrumbs. And one thing led to another, and I started researching, motor vehicle code and the registrations, property taxes. One thing just led to another, and I ended up forming a group back in the mid-'90s, back in the Denver area, of people that were similarly concerned about how people were being abused. And so we had a little group that started meeting on a regular basis, researching different areas. In every area we researched, we found truths that were hidden from the people. People are being led to do things they're not required to do in the law. So basically,
like file taxes?
Yeah, file taxes, register your car, get a driver's license, register your property in a certain way so that, it becomes property of the county, the king. And so you have to pay rent on that every year. Nobody owns any property, and we could go on and on.
We can get about, we've talked about that a lot here on Free Talk Live, that, you don't actually own the property because you can prove you don't own it because you keep paying the government. If you don't pay them, they take it from you.
Yeah.
We've got a guy, Jay Noon, he's one of our co-hosts, actually, on Free Talk Live. He was just on our show a couple nights ago. And he's one of those guys who his dad never got him a Social Security number. And he doesn't have a driver's license, and yet he drives all over the place. He's gone to jail a few times for it. There's some risk involved in this, but he's managed to get through. He's in his 30s, late 30s, and he's lived his whole life outside of the system. It's like when you meet somebody like that, it's such a shock to imagine that can even be possible.
It's a whole different world.
So are you somebody who travels without a license?
I've done that when I was in the States. I've been an expat for 11 years now, and I've been that route, done that. And you mentioned an important point. He went to jail. That's how they control us. They control us with fear.
Fear, yeah.
Fear. And most people fear, what do they fear? They fear the unknown. They don't know what it's like to go to jail, and that's the hammer they hold over your head. Well, if you don't file these papers, if you don't do this, if you don't submit, you're going to jail. But, so what I told people in my presentation the other day, what everybody needs to do is you need to find a reason to go to jail. And get that fear of the unknown out of your system.
Once you've been once, it's no big deal to go back.
You meet a lot of interesting people in jail. You get free food. You don't have to worry, but if you're in there for a long time, you don't have to worry about paying bills. I mean,
so you've been then, I take it?
Yes, yes.
Okay, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. When was your first time?
First and only time was in the mid-'90s when I had my own radio show teaching people these concepts. Apparently, I was deemed to be a heavy cast iron pipe wrench jamming up the cogs of the wheels, and wasn't good for business. So I became a political target.
Yep, that's what happens.
And they went after me hot and hard, and felony charges. I beat them the first time in court, hands down. And regardless of, double indemnity, they went and tried it again and tied my hands behind my back, stole my exculpatory evidence, wouldn't let me talk about things that would allow me, to bring truth into the situation. And so they railroaded me.
You can't bring truth into the courtroom.
No, there's no place for that there.
Right. And you mentioned lawyers. Why shouldn't people use an attorney in these situations?
Let me just say, there's a lot of good people who entered the law profession with good intentions, but you get to a certain point where you cannot continue unless you sell out. So the only thing, from my perspective, that attorneys are good for, and they do this very, very well, is to drain your bank account. Okay? Because they will not raise the issues necessary for you to win.
Mark, can you stick with me for another segment?
Yes.
Keep this going? Okay, more with Mark Emery. We're here at Anarchapulco 2019. This is Free Talk Live.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin, BTC, and Bitcoin Cash, BCH, with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. The Bitcoin.com wallet is available on Windows, Linux, Mac, Android, and iOS devices. Use the Bitcoin.com wallet to buy, send, store, and receive both Bitcoin, BTC, and Bitcoin Cash, BCH. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com. That's wallet.bitcoin.com.
It's Free Talk Live at Anarchapulco 2019 on day number 2 of what is a 4-day event here at the beautiful Princess Resort. right on the ocean, right at the beach. Very, very nice. Great group of people here so far, but there's still plenty more to come. And we're giving you a taste of some of the speakers. One of the gentlemen who spoke at the TDV seminar that happened actually the 2 days prior to this. So Anarchapulco is actually much larger than just the 4 rock-solid days. There's a couple days of TDV, which stands for the Dollar Vigilante, more of a finance-focused seminars. And then I guess after this event, there's going to be the Infinite Man thing, which is with Sasha Day Games. So I don't know if that's dating advice or what it is. I have no idea. I've never been to it. But we're here with Mark Emery from LighthouseLaw.club. And Mark, you were just getting into answering my question about, why should you stay away from attorneys? And I think you were explaining that they can't even do certain things in court. This is one of the things I've learned. I've done, I think, every case that I've taken, because every time I get a parking ticket, I take it to trial just to make them spend time on it, just to clog the system as much as I can.
Good for you.
$5 parking ticket, most people are just going to pay it to make it go away. I want my trial. And, in fact, the last time they dismissed the charge because the parking agent had screwed up the tickets and they didn't want to spend 45 minutes in court. They'd rather have their agent out writing tickets than arguing with, with me in court. So
it's all business.
Just going to, well, it's a funny form of business because it's violence. I mean, they're the only business people who get to use violence against their customers.
It's a mob.
But, just to clog the court system. But I've never used an attorney in any of those cases, and I've taken on those cases on my own. But by no means am I particularly knowledgeable about the law or the system, and that's why people turn to attorneys, because what you were saying, it's fear. They're afraid of jail. They're afraid of the system. It's overwhelming to them. When I've done courtroom outreach for things like jury nullification, know your rights kind of stuff, helping people just understand the basics about what they're about to get into. And I can't tell you how many times somebody will be walking up to court, and I'm standing out front handing out flyers, and they've just got this frightened look on their face. They don't know where they're going. They don't know what they're doing. This is why they go to attorneys. They want somebody to hold their hand, and 99% of the time the attorney holds their hand through a plea deal. So you didn't even pay. You paid them full boat, and they didn't even have to do anything.
Yeah, the plea deal is they are there to get you into the corral easily and without resistance. And so you feel better because they minimize the penalty that you pay, but you still pay the penalty. All right, and so that's one thing. The other thing is when it gets more serious, bar attorneys will not challenge the system. They cannot do that. They will lose their license. They have no motivation to challenge the system, which is based almost entirely on fraud.
They can't challenge the system. They're sworn agents of the court.
That's right.
They're officers of the court.
Right.
They work for the court first, then you.
And what does the bar represent? They're members of the bar. People don't understand what that is. That's the British Accredited Registry. All right? The attorneys are working for the Crown. People go into the courtroom demanding their constitutional rights, and they're totally wrong to do that because they don't understand the nature of the jurisdiction.
How many times have judges said, I will not have the Constitution in this courtroom? I've seen it happen.
Yeah, and if you mention it again, I'll have you thrown out and thrown in jail for contempt. And people don't understand that. They get puzzled. Well, the simple reason is it's a court of contract law. And you are a subject of the contract that you have with government. And that's a whole nother discussion.
But wait a minute, I never signed a contract with government. What are you talking about?
Yes, you did. You signed a contract when you applied for the Social Security number.
Never did that. That was my parents.
Most people do it when they want to start working. They say, well, if you want to get a job, you need to sign this SS4 form. Get your Social Security number. You do that when you sign the bank documents. You apply for FDIC insurance. That's a federal benefit. You do that when you apply for a driver's license. These are benefits we do not need in natural law. But what happens is the government operates in admiralty law. It's the law of the flag. It's the law of the sea. It's just like when you step onto a ship that's flying the Liberian flag, you know that you are being governed. Any contracts you enter into with the captain of that ship will be governed by Liberian law.
Now, that's a claim that I've heard made before, but is there any proof to it? That the government has admiralty law?
I can give you a very visual graphic on that. Do a Google Maps search. Look for the federal courthouse building in Miami, Florida. an aerial view. Zoom in on it, and what you will see is unmistakably the federal court building is in the shape of a ship. It's in your face.
Total coincidence.
It's in your face. We could go on and on, but it's contract law. And other proofs, let's talk about that. If you know how they put their hooks into you, you can unhook those hooks. All right? Are you a resident doing business in the state? That's the first thing the judge will ask you when you enter the courtroom in many instances is, okay, where do you reside? Okay.
That's a legal term right there.
Yeah, you give your address, reside. Let's look at the word. Words have meaning.
Mm-hmm.
Reside.
Especially in law. They have a very specific meaning, and in some cases they can be different than what you think.
Yeah, resident. What is a resident? Res is Latin. It's a Latin word for the thing. Mm-hmm. Or we had dinner the other night. We had tickets. Do you want meat, chicken, or a vegetarian? In Spanish, the word for meat is res. So res is the meat. It's the thing. Ident is the root word for identified. So resident is the thing identified as what? As inventory for the corporation. Are you a resident? Okay, you belong to the corporation. Are you doing business in the state? Because if you are, you're engaged in commerce. Being engaged in commerce, they can now regulate you because commerce is regulated. Mm-hmm. All right, so the difference between being employed, that's a commercial term, all right? You're engaged in commerce. Now, if you just work for somebody, that's not commercial. All right, so just the difference in those two words can establish a different type of jurisdiction if you know how to back it up.
Yeah, that's interesting. In New Hampshire, where I'm from, they actually have they have definitions for resident and inhabitant. And yet the definitions are very, very similar. And I've yet to been able to figure out why anyone would want to be a resident. There doesn't seem to be any kind of benefit. If you're a resident, you have to go and register your car. If you're a resident, you have to go and do, whatever it is that they say you got to, all these mandates or whatever. And what's the benefit?
Yeah, yeah.
What am I going to get out of this?
People make admissions and confessions without knowing what they're admitting and confessing to. Mm-hmm. When you sign these documents. Okay. One example is the passport application. To get a passport, you have to declare and swear you are a U.S. citizen. Well, there is an option, all right? And the people that draft these laws know they have to leave a back door. They just have to do it. It's in their code. They don't tell you about it. They don't make it obvious. Mm-hmm. But the passport application back door is or sign here or attach an explanatory statement.
Yep.
So what a lot of people are learning to do is to attach an explanatory statement verifying it's basically a legal document, a legal memorandum showing how they are a natural citizen among the states, a natural-born American, not a U.S. citizen. Two different, distinct legal classes there. All right? So this legal memorandum then becomes part of the terms of your application for the passport.
And people have been approved with that? They've got their passports?
So what happens is you submit your terms along with a processing fee. Mm-hmm. The State Department accepts that. Now you have a contract.
Now it's on the record.
Now the passport is being issued according to your terms, not the federal government's terms.
Oh, that's interesting.
And so now you have a contract with the federal government that you are a natural American citizen born upon the land. Okay, not a U.S. citizen. Mm-hmm. So that's a very significant distinction.
Right.
All right. So what people will do then is they'll get the passport issued. It's a matter of permanent record what their legal status is. They do a FOIA request. The State Department sends them back their file with the State Department seal on it, and now that's verification. If they're ever hauled into court for IRS issues or whatever, they say, well, but you're a U.S. citizen, you have to file. Well, no, I don't, because the State Department has agreed I'm not a U.S. citizen.
It's interesting stuff. Mark Emery from LighthouseLaw.club.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on Free Talk Live.
My pleasure.
We got more coming up here from Anarchapulco 2019. It's Free Talk Live, day number 2 at Anarchapulco. We managed to grab him on the way out the door. Ben Swann, busy guy. You spoke at the Cryptopulco stage. Ben, welcome back to Free Talk Live.
Thanks, guys. I wouldn't have stopped for most people. But for you guys, Come on.
You were clearly on your way out the door. Yes, I managed to use the small amount of pull I have with you.
Let me tell you how stunning this is. I actually resisted my wife saying we had to leave.
She's standing right here too.
Yeah.
She looks a little miffed at me.
I will pay the price later.
Well, that's all right. You're
blame it on me. I have green hair.
Exactly. What are you going to do? This guy has green hair.
So, Isagoria, tell our listeners for just tuning in.
Sure.
What is it? Why does it matter? What you doing with it?
Yeah. So, what we're really trying to do, and we're still in such the early stages of this, but we are working on building out a 24/7 streaming platform specifically for independent media, and it's video based. It's going to be similar to what you would have right now as your HBO app on your streaming device, whether it's a Roku or Apple TV. Will also be a standalone app, but it's a 24/7 stream. And then it's also going to have built into it a system specifically for all these content creators who are being deplatformed off of YouTube and Twitter and Facebook. So we will create a system for them as well to have their contents on the channel. They can sell advertising there. And then finally, we're going to create a treasury system within it that will allow us to fund and our users to vote on projects to fund through our treasury from independent media.
So is this going to be a cryptocurrency as well?
So it will be tokenized. It will actually probably be a securities token. So we will have a token that gives our holders voting rights in content that is created and in content that is produced.
And then they'll decide what airs on the network as well? Who decides that?
So they will have a voice in that. So it'll truly be a responsive media company because our token holders actually have voting rights over what they want to see on the air or what they want to see investigated or certain kinds of content that they want. What it won't be, though, is it won't be a mob control system, for instance, where a mob essentially comes in or a couple of whales come in and say, well, we're going to control what is allowed and not allowed. So
we want 4chan 24 hours a day. Those kind of people.
Or people who say, or people who say, for instance, we don't want to hear about vaccines. So let's remove all vaccine content from the channel. It's not going to be that kind of a setup. It just gives people a voice in voting for what they want to see. It's not a veto in blocking content creators. So we'll have lots and lots of varying points of view built into the system on the channel side. Some voices you would agree with, some that you wouldn't agree with, and that's okay.
I am willing to produce some video content for this. I think it would be really great, and I've been looking for a platform, where it would not too much work to get involved.
Videos always work. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, I mean the work of getting approved as opposed to
the gatekeepers.
The gatekeepers.
Right.
I don't want to call Fox and all that crap.
They don't want to hear from you either. So don't worry about it.
Tell me, Ben, tell the story about you working down in, I think it was Juarez City. What's that town across the...
In Juarez, yes.
Yep.
The city of Juarez.
And you were trying to get a hold of Fox and tell them about what was going on. Tell us the story.
Yeah, so when I was working down there on the U.S.-Mexico border, and I was, I grew up down there, but specifically as a news anchor, when the drug war really hit in 2008, 2009, I was working down there as an anchor for the NBC station at the time, and I would drive over every morning, leave in the morning, I cross the border. I was the only one from our station who was willing to do it. We go across. We would cover the violence that was taking place there. I mean, with thousands of people. I think that year, I want to say about 10,000 people died from cartel violence alone.
In just that area?
In just that city.
Oh, wow.
Just that city. And that does not count all the people who were being killed for which there was no count. I mean, literally, the city would have a morgue, and they didn't have enough room in there for the bodies, so they wouldn't hold them because no one would come identify them. And so they had mass graves. These were city-run mass graves where they were just having to dump bodies.
Wow.
So we were covering this every day, and we would have Fox show up and NBC sending down, correspondence, and I was contacting them and saying, hey, you guys aren't covering the story accurately. The narrative that you're pushing isn't true to what's actually taking place here. And
what was their narrative?
So their narrative was, and you've probably heard this before, that the violence that was taking place wasn't really truly violence because it's really cartels killing cartels.
Okay.
Right? Which was completely untrue.
Completely untrue. Okay.
What's true is that in that city, there were 3 levels of violence at the same time.
Okay.
One was the drug war itself. That was the most, the sexiest in terms of news coverage, right?
Okay.
That was the most dramatic, decapitated bodies, faces cut off and sewn onto soccer balls, those kinds of things.
Jeez.
That was happening at the rate of 10,000 people dying. There was a secondary, which was that half of the police force in Juarez have been fired as part of this drug war because they worked for one cartel or another.
Right.
And so what do you do when you're a cop in Juarez and you have no place to go? And that was about 30,000 police officers, by the way. Well, what they would do is they began kidnapping anybody who had a Texas or New Mexico license plate on their car. They would pull you over, jerk you out of your car, take your cell phone, call your list of contacts, and say, I want $10,000 in 24 hours, or this person's dead. And guess what? They weren't bluffing.
Wow.
And they were killing people. The third, though, when you have those levels of violence, there was a
I can't
third
believe
level.
the FBI is letting that sort of thing go on.
What are they going to do about it?
Well, just set up jurisdiction. I wouldn't be surprised if they would.
Well, and then the third level of violence was the level of violence of poor people who have absolutely no advocates. There's no police to investigate. So if you want to kill somebody, if you want to rape somebody, if you want to dispose of a body, there's nobody to stop you. There's nobody to investigate it.
Right.
So in the 1990s, there were a series of murders of young women in Juarez. They were called the femicides. They became very famous, especially in Europe. About 300 women over the course of a decade. In Juarez, that was happening in 1 year.
Wow.
But no one would talk about it because it didn't get the attention of the other violence at the top.
Right.
So violence begets violence begets violence, and this is what I was trying to explain. But no, we didn't want to talk about that because it was just, no, it's cartels killing cartels. It's bad guys killing bad guys. Right. And innocent people, they're not really at risk, and that wasn't true.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure by and large it was cartels killing cartels, but there's this other stuff going on, and people certainly need to know about it. Is kidnapping still an issue in Mexico?
So it's not what it was at that time. At that time, it was so bad that I knew a lot of people who would commute for work, and so if you had a nice car, they would go and buy a junker for a couple $100. Mm-hmm. They would remove the license plates that had U.S. license plates, and they would change them to Mexican. Right now, it's not like that. You can travel over there, but at the time, because
when was this?
2008, 2009, okay. Beginning of 2010, and again, this is the very underreported story of what was happening there. And there were, among those who was kidnapped at one point was the niece of the congressman from El Paso, Sylvester Reyes. His niece was actually kidnapped and held for ransom over there. And Congressman Reyes actually used his contacts in ICE to run an operation to get her back, which he didn't want anyone to know about because he would stand up in front of other lawmakers in Washington and say, oh, the violence there isn't that
Everything's fine.
Yeah.
Everything's
so
fine.
when other people's families are being kidnapped, it's not happening. When his daughter or niece is kidnapped, all of a sudden ICE runs an operation in a foreign country.
So then you went to from there El Paso to Cincinnati, a bit safer place, and you started doing
death by boredom.
You started doing a news bit that got a lot of attention.
Yeah, it's called Reality Check, and for folks who have seen it, Reality Check with Ben Swann, it began there, it kicked off there in Cincinnati. It was a huge hit there. I was at the fourth place.
I remember seeing them and being so excited that this, dashing news anchor was talking about the things that I wanted to hear about. I'm like, yes, we've finally done it.
Well, you were one of the people, though, that helped to make that such a success, right? Because we actually went from being a fourth place station, last place station in the market, to number one in households and demos, which is very difficult to do. We moved up so fast, and we did it in less than a year with that segment. People were watching it in 140 countries around the world. I get emails from people in Turkey and in Indonesia and in Australia who were watching this local segment out of Cincinnati, Ohio. It was a huge hit there.
Well, you brought it back. It's back right now.
Yes.
It's sponsored by Smart Cash.
So right now we're holding that, and we've held that sponsorship because of the price of crypto has gone down. So we're trying not to hurt the coin. Which I do for two reasons. One, because I'm such a nice guy. Yeah. And two, because I hold Smart Cash. Yeah. So I don't want to hurt the price of the coin. So right now, we're actually it's on hold right now. We want to bring it back again, but we're kind of on hold with it.
So wait, production's on hold?
Production's on hold.
Okay.
For it.
Okay. Where would people go to see the back episodes?
So you can go to my Facebook, my YouTube. They're all over that. And, of course, Dash has been our sponsor. So we republish the ones. I'm also doing work right now with RT America.
Oh, cool.
Commenting on stories as a commentator.
Very cool.
So we've been doing that as well. So we have new
How often
content.
do you do that?
That's happening at least once a day, sometimes twice a day.
Okay.
And we put that content up on Facebook and YouTube as well, so people can watch it there also.
Awesome. So isagoria.com is the website where folks can go. And I think there's an email list. Is there an email list?
There is. There's an email list and a Telegram, so you can get on that as well.
I'm in the Telegram. It's busy.
Yeah. The goal is to really... it's such an early stage, and I'm a media guy. I'm not a tech guy. So we're bringing some people onto the team who can really help to make that flow better. But we're hoping by fourth quarter of this year, it will be live and streaming and content being uploaded.
It's a big goal. Ben
It's a big
Swann,
goal.
thank you for coming on Free Talk Live, and thank you, Ben Swann's wife. Thanks for letting him come on with us here. Check him out over at isagoria.com.
She's
and when
Puerto
you're
Rican.
searching
She'll
for-
cut you 5 times before you hit the ground.
Looks like you might.
All right, back with more from Anarchapulco here in moments. This is Free Talk Live. Of course, you can learn more about this event over at Anarchapulco.com.
She's such a beautiful little puppy. I mean, we walk around the block, and neighbors always say, her hair is so beautiful.
Healthy and shiny and glossy.
DINOVITE.com.
Fatty acids, omega-3s, and omega-6s are great for healthy skin and soft, shiny coats.
I would really recommend people starting their puppies on Dynavite before they get into what I would call the misery index. Bad skin, bad ears, bad breath.
Because if they're getting all their vitamins, micronutrients, microbials from the beginning, then you're not going to run into the problems associated with the allergies,
grass, pollen, dust, dirt, fleas, ticks, you name it.
and the itching and shedding down the road.
Our vitamins and enzymes replace the nutrients cooked out of most commercial dog foods.
Dynavite for life.
This is Ed Lukasevic
and Cindy Lukasevic,
inviting you and your pets to Dynavite.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live. We're here at Anarchapulco for day number 2 out of 4 days here in the beautiful resort, the Princess, right on the Pacific Ocean. Just absolutely lovely place. Great people so far. Really enjoying ourselves here and meeting new folks. We've had some, friendly faces we've had on before, but always new people to meet when you're at this event because, well, there's even more people here this year than there were last year. And from the Cryptopulco stage from yesterday, which, Mark, you are the MC of that
That's
stage.
right.
Joshua Marriage is with us here. Hello, Joshua.
G'day, mates. How are you?
All the way from Australia.
Yeah.
Just thought I'd make it obvious for you.
It makes it easier for us.
So you were talking, I guess, on the stage yesterday about privacy?
Yeah, that's it indeed. About personal data and how it belongs to the people. So a bit of a movement.
Yeah, give us the synopsis of that, because I imagine a lot of people use the internet as though, everything's fine. It's a service. But interestingly, it's a service that they don't pay for.
Yeah, that's right. So there's a common adage that gets bandied about that people are the product. I like to think more of it in the sense that the user is not the customer. So in the sense of the platforms that we use, they're free because the customer is in fact the advertiser, and we're handing over this data as if it's worthless, and we're not getting a piece of that pie. Facebook posts, $40 billion in revenue, of a given year every year, and where's our piece? So I think we deserve some.
Yeah, I don't imagine they're going to give us any. The presumption, I guess, is that you get this robust website that, allows you to sort of do some journaling, I guess, share pictures with mom, pictures of the kids with mom and dad, a few other things that are certainly useful. Oh, yes, and argue with people whose opinions will never be changed on the internet.
That's a big one. That's a huge one.
Yeah.
I personally don't have Facebook.
Me neither. I quit a year ago.
I quit about 2 years ago myself, so it was probably the best thing I did. I'm using my time in much more effective ways.
It was an instant productivity increase for me. I noticed the next day. I noticed I had more time.
I know. It's like as soon as you're... what does Jeff Berwick call it? The organizer of Anarchapulco, he calls it fascist book.
Fascist book. Interestingly, Free Talk Live at one point had a very robust Facebook presence that was 19 million post views in 1 week. This wasn't the only time that we got more than 1 million post views, but that was the biggest ever. It was 1 week we had 19 million post views, and that's great. And you know what, Facebook, what kind of check they sent us? Nothing.
Zero?
Nothing. I mean, we got nothing off it. We never didn't get more downloads. We didn't get anything. It's like people are on Facebook to be on Facebook. And
they don't leave.
They don't. You can post a YouTube link on there, but, it has the tiny little thumbnail, and people don't go anywhere. They want the video on Facebook.
That's it. Yeah, it's like they're at war with the likes of YouTube and other video platforms because video is so engaging. They don't want people to leave the website. But with Free Talk Radio, have you guys had censorship issues with these kinds of platforms?
Not yet, thankfully. But we're too small.
No,
honestly.
The one time that we got kicked off of Facebook for a month, it was because of the Gold Coast meter maids. Your country women, they were.
Have you heard of them?
Yeah, I've partaken.
Oh, really? All right.
Well, I can't imagine what it's like to partake of the Gold Coast meter maids. However, what they've done and what they do is they're these attractive women that go around. Where's the Gold Coast exactly? Queensland?
Yeah, it's on the southeast coast of Queensland. So yeah. Right on the ocean, beautiful spot.
And they plug meters. They serve local businessmen, pay them to do it. To plug meters so that everybody's happy, right? The people who are parking are happy,
and they wear bikinis while they do it.
And so they get a little.
They've definitely become a tourist attraction.
Yeah.
So they're not censoring the main strip at the Gold Coast yet. And strip's a weird word to use because there's a lot of strip clubs in that area. But yeah, it's definitely the sex sells. And
but that's what we got banned for, was posting their page on our page.
The Facebook page for the Gold Coast meter maids. We posted it. Somebody complained about it. One of their dumb censors, who's probably some, mouth-breathing illiterate in Philippines, said, well, yep, that looks bad, and knocked us off for 30 days. Now, I'm sure there's some appeals process or whatever, but the story has been such gold that we were never going to appeal that.
Yeah, you got to cling on to that PR.
These idiots banned us for sharing one of their pages. It was fascinating.
All right, so what should people do to increase their privacy? Because it's, they're giving it away. It's hard to get it back, isn't it?
Yeah, well, speaking of the Gold Coast, actually, there's a interesting firm there called Anonymy Labs. It's run by a guy from Salt Lake City, actually, Steve Shillingford. Funny that his name's Shillingford and I'm shilling their product. But anyway, they have an app called MySudo, which I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but I promote it because it gives you the opportunity to have a fake name, fake number, and a fake email address for any type of purpose. So you might set up a pseudo for Facebook, a pseudo for online shopping, and these kinds of things. And what you can do is really disconnect those dots that join to your identity and really paint that big picture of that big data pool that the companies are tapping into and selling from under you. So I recommend starting there. And also getting the hell off Google. Yeah, MySudo. It's at mysudo.com is their website.
How do you get out of Google? I mean, if Facebook is half the internet, Google's the other half.
Yeah, Google's the behemoth.
But it's so handy to have them fill out my sentences for me. When I'm typing on Gmail, they now know what I'm going to type, and they'll suggest it. All I have to do is hit tab. It's just so convenient.
Oh, my God. I hate that. I hate that so much. No, what I do to get off Google, I basically removed myself. It took a long time. It took a good few months of sifting through it after work and whatnot. But I use a different search engine called DuckDuckGo, which essentially delivers the same search results, but you're not tracked. And they still make money with ads, but they're not specifically targeted. Yeah. So
this is the same for StartPage.com.
It's very similar.
It's another website that does basically the same thing. So you can get the search aspect. But Google's gone so much farther than search.
They're doing my phone service now. I get a Google phone.
Oh, my God.
For free.
Crazy.
Oh, wait a second.
It's not free.
It's not free.
No, there's always a price. There's always a price to everything in life, and it's just that with software, it's easier for them to sort of coerce you into doing these things because it's convenient. People choose convenience over privacy, which is a shame. But we're hoping that we can change that sort of behavior.
How does Google get most of its money? Where does it come from?
Well, 98.7%, funny you ask, is actually from advertising revenue through the likes of AdWords. So even though they have all these different companies, their ads that show on the search results generate tens of billions of dollars a year.
Don't you get rid of that with AdBlock?
Yeah, you do on the websites that you visit that publish AdSense, so like the banner ads and stuff. But if you're using Google as a search engine, even with the ad block, you're still going to get ads peppered through the results because they're fed as native content to the results. Yeah,
I mean that's not the worst, most offensive way to make money. You're searching for something. Here's some stuff about the stuff you're searching for, I guess.
I actually feel that personally, from a privacy perspective, I don't mind being served ads in that instance because I'm I'm asking for it.
Right.
It's the best type of marketing, in my opinion. You're asking for something and you're specifically getting it. It's opt-in. Where a lot of privacy concerns, they opt you in by default and you've got to opt out. Like the Australian government did this with My Health Record.
Nice.
And they just like launched this new platform. Sorry, you're opted in. All your personal data's in this centralized database.
Well, you've opted into voting over there too, right?
Yeah, well,
you have to.
Yeah, you have to vote.
Congratulations.
But you can just claim that you're a Jehovah's Witness and you don't have to vote. So.
There's a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses in Australia, I'll bet.
Quite a few that I know, yeah. No, but Australia is an interesting place from the privacy perspective as well. They've recently just... at the end of last year, on the last day of sitting Parliament, they passed the anti-encryption bill. Which is awful for our tech sector.
Yeah,
because,
it sounds that way. What does it do?
Let's do a scenario. So say we're here, I'm a police officer, and I come to one of you guys in your lunch break, you're an engineer, at, say, WhatsApp, or one of these encrypted messengers. And I say, you've got to build a backdoor into our platform, and you can't tell your boss about it, and we're going to extract whatever we want from it. If you don't, you face jail time.
Oh my God!
So this is the kind of stuff.
This is what just passed.
Yeah,
this
literally passed in Australia. Yeah, it's now being it's approved by the government. It's been sent through. It'll be written into law.
Joshua, can you stick with us for another segment? Continue this conversation. Joshua Marriage is with us. He's actually from Cloakcoin. We haven't mentioned what that is, so I want to get into that coming up as well. Free Talk Live. We're at Anarchapulco 2019. This is Free Talk Live. We're at Anarchapulco 2019. Want to say thanks to Dustin H., who is a gold amplifier, somebody who gives $10 a month to Free Talk Live to help us advertise, market, and promote the show. And you can do that too. We'd only ask you for 5, but he's doing 10. We certainly appreciate that. You go to amp.freetalklive.com if you'd like to sign up. You can do it with credit card, PayPal, or Bitcoin BTC. So go there to learn more about the AMP program and how we're spending the money to help promote Free Talk Live and get us on more radio stations around the country and bring new internet listeners on board as well. It's ampamp.freetalklive.com as we continue here from the beautiful Princess Hotel and Resort here in Acapulco, Mexico. It's really a very heavy cryptocurrency crowd here, and almost feels like a crypto conference, but on the beach. And so, Mark, you've been heading up the Cryptopulco room. There's an entire stage dedicated to cryptocurrency this year.
Right, so it turns out I know a lot about the crypto speakers at this event.
Yeah, but we're meeting new people as well.
Oh, yeah.
And had you met Joshua Marriage before this event?
I had not.
Nope. So we got Joshua Marriage on here with us. He's a privacy advocate, but also with Cloakcoin. So we started out talking about privacy and, why it's important and how to escape from all these things that we've given up. We've given up privacy because it's been so easy to just, there's all these services over here. I can just have these free services and just here's all my information. And that's unfortunate. It's hard to undo all those things once it's been done, but it is possible. You just have to work at it. You have to spend some time. You might have to spend a little bit of money. Privacy costs. It's not convenient to be private, is it?
That's true. There's a lot of cost involved in terms of not having good privacy as well, but you don't realize that until disaster strikes. So you might have a data breach or a data breach, and that's going to cost a lot more than just taking some precautions beforehand. So it's about changing people's behavior and start treating their personal data like it's a valuable asset instead of a dirty commodity. There's too much trading happening underneath us of that data, and it's really been devalued, and it hasn't been our fault,
I have a question. You talked about, I think it was called MySudo, this service on the internet where you can, make a little, what do they call it, a sock puppet, is the terminology, this other being that is not you, that you control, this online being. But what about when you buy things? So if I go to Amazon and I create a sock puppet, it's going to be really confusing when I attempt to use a credit card that, goes to Mark Edge.
Yeah, so that's a good point in terms of where cryptocurrency will step in on with broader adoption. So realistically, when you're shopping online, the issue is that you pay with a credit card, right? And the issue with credit cards in general is they're a pull payment rather than a push payment. Right. So you give someone your details, they can charge that credit card whenever they feel like it, really. And also, the reason you provide all that information with the credit card payment is it's a form of collateral to pay for the insurance against credit card fraud, because they're rife with fraud. It's very vulnerable.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah, so in terms of like in the future, I'd love to see a future where you're shopping and you don't hand over that information. You simply submit payment, but then what about your home address? You know, I did a poll on Twitter recently. I think I got about 1,200 responses, and the most important piece of personal data to people was their home address. But online shopping, they just bandy it about. So there's different ideas around utilising post office boxes and parcel pickups. And
in the U.S. we have private mailboxes, which are not the same as a post office box. Like at a private mailbox, you can actually have packages sent there from UPS or FedEx or whatever other package service. So you're actually paying a private company to receive mail for you, and that's very convenient.
Yeah, and I guess too, like the only downside to that in the future will be that you're still trusting an intermediary. They'll have your information at some point. But,
sure.
But who knows? There might be a decentralized shipping option at some point where you don't even give anyone your details and you pick it up from your local barista or something. You know, there might be something like that. Who
Let's
knows?
talk about Cloakcoin. What is it? We love cryptocurrencies here on Free Talk Live, but there's thousands of them. So what's Cloakcoin? You're wearing the shirt.
Yeah, maybe we've been too private for a long time. So we actually launched back in June of 2014.
Oh, wow. So it's an older privacy coin.
Yeah.
Okay.
I definitely have heard the name many times.
Yeah, we were one of the first projects listed on Bittrex.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, that's a long time ago.
They just kicked me off.
Oh, bugger. When we launched, there was no funding, no ICO, no pre-mine. So we actually launched as proof of work, mined the coins into existence. There's only about 5.2 million in existence.
Okay.
We switched to proof of stake, and now our network is secured by the wallet holders. No need for a masternode.
I can only imagine it is very difficult to switch from proof of work to proof of stake. Can you describe what these two things are for people who may not have heard the term?
Yeah, definitely. So with proof of work, it's like how Bitcoin works. So basically you've got people with special computer hardware that does some very tricky math, and that very tricky math will determine, that the work has been done to prove the transaction. Yep. And
expensive computers, tricky math.
Yep. So this is the really dumbed down version without getting into detail. Yep. On the flip side, with proof of stake, instead of having those tricky computer equations, you're literally staking your coins. It's like you're placing a bet and saying to the network, yes, these are the coins that I have, and then that is used as the consensus mechanism without going into too much detail. And I'm not a developer.
So what's your role and how did you get involved?
Yeah, so I actually got involved through a bit of personal experience, a bit of a privacy mishap of my own. Mm-hmm. And in 2014, I was frequenting the dark web, purchasing illicit substances.
I'd like to hear about this privacy mishap.
Yeah, so I'd actually, you mentioned I'll tell a little bit about the personal story, I guess. I won't go into too much detail. But my surname being Marriage is quite ironic because I'm divorced. So the marriage took place, and then
the marriage. Okay, yeah, that sounds right.
And about a month later, got divorced. On
the marriage divorce. Okay.
The honeymoon didn't work out too well.
Okay.
We separated, and I sort of went off the rails. Was buying a lot of illicit substances on the dark web. Became familiar with Bitcoin and Monero originally. And then never saw the potential for an investment, just saw it as a good tool. I like the privacy tools. And then doing some research, I came across Cloak. I partook in their community anonymously for quite a long time. And then at the start of 2018, I came out as the only public face of the project. Everyone else is very private. And as a global spokesperson and Australian coordinator. So,
all right, you don't mind being a target. All right.
Yeah, my OPSEC's good, but yeah, I watch my back. So,
so what makes Cloakcoin different from all the rest?
Yeah, for sure. So, firstly, being proof of stake and being a privacy coin, there's a good incentive for people to hold it. There's a 6% staking reward for taking part.
What's that mean?
So basically, if you've got coins, you've bought some coins, you can hold them in your wallet, and help to secure the network as a node, as part of the network, and you get rewarded in Cloak coins. They get paid, in every block. The blocks are every 60 seconds, but it just depends if you get selected randomly to be part of that. But on average, you'll earn 6% per year, and you don't need a master node like some other coins where you've got to have
so
$500,000.
There's no minimum?
No, you can stake one coin if you feel like
cool.
it. And the other difference is there's an auditable total money supply. So a lot of privacy coins.
Hold that thought if you don't mind. We're coming up here in moments, and this is Free Talk Live.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynavite for help.
Order a 90-day supply of Dynavite.
Dynavite for life.
Pick up 2 tubes of Doggo Suds.
Get the 3rd tube free.
Peppermint, tea tree, lavender, Doggo Sud shampoo.
Made with all-natural coconut, jojoba, aloe. Great for healthy skin and soft, shiny coats.
But no itchy, harsh chemicals.
Lather up, rinse away.
Try Doggo Suds. Buy 2, get 1 free.
At Dynavite.com.
DINOVITE.com.
It's Free Talk Live at Anarchapulco 2019. We are here. It's yet another beautiful day, and it's been a great event so far. More to come. There's 4 full days here at Anarchapulco. You can go to Anarchapulco.com, learn more about it as we continue. Ian and Mark in our beautiful remote studio here at the Princess Resort, catching the breeze right off the Pacific Ocean here. Joshua Marriage is with us. He is apparently the only spokesperson for Cloak Coin, the only person involved with that particular cryptocurrency who is willing to come out of the closet.
Right. They haven't been disappeared. They disappeared on their own.
This explains why we've it's been around. You said it's been around since 2014, and we've been in the world of cryptocurrency, as a radio show related to
2010,
familiar with since for a long time. And we've been to a bunch of crypto conferences, but this is why we've never actually encountered anyone from Cloakcoin, because there's never anyone else except for you. So thank goodness they got you, because now you can actually connect with people.
Yeah, look, you guys are crypto dinosaurs, but yeah,
I feel it too.
You were explaining some of the differences between Cloakcoin and some of the other privacy coins that are out there.
Yeah. I'll just touch on the topic with the people behind Cloak too. There's 23 of us now. We've actually rolled out a coordinator program. So there are people in their local markets starting to get out there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's been a long, hard slog, and that's probably because we didn't have any funding ever. But yeah, what was a bit different with other privacy coins was the auditable total money supply. So our anonymity, instead of being handled with complex math and obscuring what's written to the blockchain, we actually manage that off blockchain. So when you're participating as a node in the network, you can also be part of Enigma transactions. And Enigma is our transaction layer. It's a payment system. And basically, it takes our system, which it works similar to Tor, Cloak Shield, and it breaks up the transactions between multiple nodes on the network. They get a small reward, and then it brings it back together, writes it to the blockchain, but across multiple addresses that are untraceable to the holder.
So this Enigma system is different from a normal Cloakcoin transaction, or is it?
Yeah. So in our ethos of privacy, we're very big on the freedom of choice. So you can have private transactions or you can have untraceable transactions. And so if you use Enigma, that's the mixing part of the transaction. So that's where you get that true anonymity.
But the other way is still private?
Yeah, it's still private. So the transactions are handled over Cloak Shield, which is encrypted, and at each bounce through the nodes to get to the recipient, it's like Tor, so it's peeling away onion layers. So it's like it's not untraceable, but you have the option to use it. So if you're going to send it to say you're going to send it to Binance and you want to send it there, they don't accept Enigma transactions. So you're going to send it as a standard Cloak transaction.
Has anyone ever tested the Cloak network to see whether a third party tested the Cloak network to see whether or not they could track a transaction?
Yeah, I'm glad you bring that up because it's another good point of difference.
I am a super genius.
Yeah, thank you very much. So in the end of 2017, we had a third-party audit done by a NASDAQ-listed cybersecurity firm called Cognosec. Okay. They carried out a really in-depth audit of the tech, penetration testing, all that kind of stuff. They provided us with a report, At that same time, we took all of our code open source and revealed Enigma to the world. Had it peer reviewed, and then we had all the improvements as recommended by Cognosec. We put those in place, and we now do that every year. So we've
a yearly audit.
Yeah, so we've got the next improvements coming up, and we're also soon to launch our dev fund, which is basically a way for us to fund the project in future, which is a cool feature of
Tell us about
proof of stake. Yeah, so instead of just the holders of the coins getting their percentage of reward, as a community, we've decided that there'll be a fraction of that sent to a developer fund, so our developers can actually be paid to develop full time.
Now, how does the community decide that? You said as a community,
So we there's voting that'll take place. We've had all the initial talks with our community through our online platforms and all that sort of stuff, but part of this dev fund mechanism will be a governance and voting mechanism as well. So we want to make sure the people that are holding and securing the network get the incentives that they deserve, and also have the say to build the network out in the direction that they see fit.
So this is a big upgrade then coming this year?
Yeah, it's huge.
When is it coming for you?
It should be ready by the end of this quarter.
Okay.
But in saying that, as a project with no funding, we've missed a couple of deadlines historically.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, I mean, I haven't been involved in any website development that has not yet gone past its due date.
Yeah, that's just software, unfortunately.
Yeah, even when you pay them, it goes beyond the due date.
Right.
Well, no one's paying us, but we're doing our best, so I promise.
So you're here on your own dime then to promote Cloakcoin?
Yeah, so
very cool.
Interestingly as well, in the early days of the project, there was a bit of a scandal with someone who was involved that was trying to rip off other team members who were building the product. And luckily, a guy who goes by Las Vegas scooped it up, and he's been funding us, helping us out to fund things like this. So, yeah. Really
How'd
good.
you find out about this event?
I was actually invited. I got a letter from Jeff Berwick and said, hell yeah, let's do it.
I was actually in on that meeting.
Really?
That we were looking for the right people to be in and that sort of thing. So, we all had a vote. People would pitch different folks to be in, and we had votes as to who got to go.
That's humbling, because I think it might have been off the back of the blockchain cruise. I upset a few people and a bit of a protest, and maybe that got heard. I'm not sure.
So, all right, you like Cloakcoin. Obviously, you're wearing the shirt. You work for them. What's your second favorite privacy coin?
Second favorite privacy coin? I really like the guys over at PivX.
PivX,
yeah,
okay.
So I've met some of the guys, and
they were here last year. I haven't seen them.
Yeah,
last year.
I recently saw them in Vegas for World CryptoCon, and we're in the Proof of Stake Alliance with those guys, so we do actually share knowledge, and I think that's important. We shouldn't be infighting. We should think about the big picture. Crypto's tiny. We've got a long way to go.
Right.
So.
There's really no room for the infighting, and people don't understand it that are, on the outside. They're like, what are you guys fighting over? I mean, it's a tiny little pie.
It's always petty.
Yeah.
It's always petty. It's always personality-based and petty.
Yeah. It's an unfortunate part of it, and I guess it's similar with any sort of endeavor. People get competitive, so it's just a human nature that we can hopefully avoid in future.
So what do you see for the future of cryptocurrencies?
I think personally there's a couple of interesting examples that people have set to me regarding, say, Bitcoin with settlements for like foreign exchange. So a guy once held up an A3 piece of paper and he folded over a millimeter in the corner and he said, this is the size of the crypto market and the rest is the derivatives market. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a long way to grow, and I think it's going to be mostly about these ideas of censorship resistance, transparency when it's related to governments. And also, I want to see a future with a truly digital cash, because governments are moving towards these cashless societies where there's always going to be an intermediary. And I really want this opportunity to still transact peer-to-peer. That's all I want.
It's really difficult to divorce. Sorry, Mr. Marriage. To divorce cryptocurrency from the sort of a financial instrument market, because people think of it that way. And cryptocurrency really is about payments. It's not about making money on it. That happens. There's no doubt that occurs, but if people, when people lose sight of the notion of payments, then they lose sight of what cryptos were all about in the first place.
Yeah, it's totally a social movement, and spending money is just such a direct stream of your consciousness. If you're willing to put dollars with your sense, then, it makes complete sense that you should have control over that and it be peer-to-peer and not intermediated by some third party who's just going to exploit you anyway. So, yeah, social movement all the way.
Yeah, we love crypto here on Free Talk Live, and it's been great to have you on. Anything we should have asked you that we didn't?
No, I'm pretty sure we've asked everything, unless I had a few more beers. Maybe it would have been a different conversation.
It's still early yet.
That's a water sitting in front of you.
Yeah. So Joshua Marriage from CloakCoin. If you want to learn more about it, they've got a website. It's cloakcoin.com. I imagine you guys are on a few exchanges. What are your big ones?
Yeah, we're on Binance. We got on there early last year.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, Livecoin, a couple of Australian exchanges, CoinTree. Shout out to my homeboys back home.
Right on.
And you can find all that on our website.
CloakCoin.com. Thank you, Joshua. Appreciate you being on Free Talk Live here today. We got more coming up from Anarchapulco 2019. We are at the beautiful Princess Resort. This is Free Talk Live. It's Free Talk Live. We're at Anarchapulco 2019 on day number 2. Coming up this evening, it is Ron Paul. He's going to be here. Last night, it turns out that apparently Judge Andrew Napolitano, who was one of the guest speakers on the list, called out. He said he wouldn't come in person, and purportedly that it was because of the murder that took place here in Acapulco a couple of weeks ago. It didn't have anything to do with Anarchapulco. It had something to do with a competing event called Anarchapulco. That event has since been canceled, and we got into details on what all that was about a couple weeks back. But the good judge decided he was going to stay home, or stay wherever it was he was. He didn't come here. Apparently, he did do a Skype speech or something like that, but a lot of people, understandably, were pretty miffed about that, and, nobody wants to come all the way to Acapulco to sit and watch a Skype channel. So I don't know how well attended that was. I didn't peek in, but I did peek in on the David Icke speech yesterday, which was, I don't know, can you even call that a speech? It was a 4-hour seminar, basically. I mean, it was essentially from 2 to 6:15, with a couple of small, maybe 10, 15-minute breaks in between it. I didn't watch the whole thing, but some of the folks who were here did. I did actually peek in for about 10 minutes, kind of in the middle of it, and then stayed in for the last half hour because we'd kind of shut everything down here at the Free Talk Live booth. And, I want to see what this guy has to say. And, I've liked a lot of the things that I've heard from David Icke. He's an interesting character. A bit on the conspiracy side, but he's got a nice... he's got a nice, metaphysical message that I'm really into. So I hope that I'm going to see him around here at some point today. I'm not sure if he's one of those kinds of guests that I don't know if he's one of those kinds of guests that just shows up at an event that he's paid to be at for just as long as he's paid to be there, and then he just takes off. There certainly are plenty of people who do that, and we'll see. If he's here, I definitely want to grab him, get a chance to talk to him here on Free Talk Live. And by the way, Free Talk Live is brought to you by AnyPay.global. Had the chance to have some breakfast with the folks from AnyPay yesterday. Derek, Jay, and Steven, they sat in on the show as well. And, of course, it's frustrating to, and also wonderful to sit there and listen to these guys talk because they've got so many cool things that they're doing, but I can't talk about them. So I can't tell you about the cool things they told me about because they're not quite ready for prime time yet. But rest assured, as soon as we are authorized to explain what is new with AnyPay, I'm going to be very excited to tell you. I will tell you, though, that they did re-enable Bitcoin Cash on AnyPay. And, of course, they've always got Bitcoin and Dash. And also they mentioned that Dogecoin is now official. So Dogecoin was kind of like a behind-the-scenes cutesy thing that they did for a little while, and now that is officially available through the AnyPay platform. So if you are ready to accept cryptocurrency or you're wanting to accept cryptocurrency at your point of sale, then AnyPay can help you with that. Just go to anypay.global. It's ANYPAY, anypay.global, and you can get signed up there. It's super easy to do. You create your username and password, and you're in. You put your cryptocurrency wallet addresses into the back end and then load their app on whatever point-of-sale device that you might have. So once again, that's anypay.global, and yes, it is free to accept cryptocurrency payments. There's no fee that is assessed by AnyPay. All right, so we're here at Anarchapulco 2019, the beautiful Princess Resort. It's been just absolutely lovely. And, of course, you know, it's easy to be wall-to-wall with guests. But at this time, as I'm recording this, there's nobody around. It's bright and early here on day number 2. And so it's just basically me and the mosquitoes out here. Mark hasn't even made it down from his hotel room at this point. So, you know, there's no reason why we can't talk about some of the news. And this one's been hitting big since this is I think Anarchapulco is like a secret crypto conference almost, or a crypto conference, because it seems like that's what's on everybody's lips here. The crypto Pulco aspect of it is huge. Mark said that every speaker in Cryptopulco yesterday was packed. The room was packed. Now, the room's not as big as, say, where they had David Icke speak, which is this massive 2,000-seat auditorium. And I would say that was half full. He had a good attendance. We'll see how Ron Paul does later on tonight when he shows up. That's going to be the ultimate test to see if the attendance here is better than last year. I suspect that it will be. But anyway, so in the news, there's a lot of headlines about J.P. Morgan. Yeah, you remember J.P. Morgan, the CEO, Jamie Dimon, who has come out on a number of occasions and talked some trash about Bitcoin. Well, guess what? Now they're getting headlines in the news for having launched their own cryptocurrency. But there's a catch, because it's not actually a cryptocurrency. Unfortunately, most of the mainstream media that's reporting on the story has no idea about that. But kudos to Vice News over at motherboard.vice.com for a detailed piece on exactly why it is that the new JPM coin, as they're calling it, is in point of fact not a cryptocurrency. Now people who understand cryptocurrency, and you don't need to be an expert on it to really get that. On its face, you could have guessed this wasn't going to be a cryptocurrency. This is a big bank. Cryptocurrency is about decentralization. The whole point of the cryptography is to protect the network, is to protect transactions, to make sure that everything is secure, and to make sure that the network can be run publicly, to where anybody, untrusted people you don't know, can join the network because it's open source, the code's open source. And so it can be audited by anybody at all. And so the cryptocurrency, or the crypto aspect of cryptocurrency, is a protection to make sure that you can interact with people you don't trust, with people, because it's, as was described yesterday by a couple of our guests, cryptocurrency is supposed to be a push system, meaning only you with your private keys can authorize the money that you have, the crypto that you have, to go somewhere else. You cannot give, like with a credit card, you can't give somebody else access to pull from your wallet unless you give them your private keys, in which case they have full control over your wallet, which that would be crazy, so don't do that. So, we know that just on its face, this JPM coin isn't going to be a cryptocurrency, but Motherboard gets into some good reasons why here. So they're calling it JPM coin. It's a digital token that represents U.S. dollars held in J.P. Morgan Chase accounts, according to the bank. The token is aimed at large institutional clients that need to move large sums of money quickly. Using a digital token that is sent and logged near instantly in a database would allow for clients to send payments without waiting for wire transfers, which, as CNBC noted, might take more than a day to settle. The news that the largest bank in the U.S. is adopting some technical aspects of cryptocurrencies, like Bitcoin and Ethereum, a blockchain that came after Bitcoin and iterated on it, was not met with a jubilated tone or with jubilation that one might expect from cryptocurrency enthusiasts. Instead, JPM coin has been cast by some as a co-option or even an attack of sorts on cryptocurrencies. Of course, Jamie Dimon famously attacked Bitcoin as a fraud in 2017, though the bank has long touted the supposed benefits of blockchain technology. So when a big bank starts touting the benefits of blockchain technology, they may be right. They may understand the benefit of blockchain technology, and let's talk briefly about what that means. So the blockchain is it's the guts of the Bitcoin system, of many cryptocurrencies. Not all of them are blockchain based, but 99% of them are. And so what a blockchain is it's the It's a ledger. It's a decentralized, distributed public ledger, although some of them aren't public. But it's a public ledger that allows these trustless interactions to go on. You don't have to know the person that you're doing business with. You don't have to trust them because, again, they don't have access to your wallet. You can only push information to them. You can only push your money to them. It's all recorded on this blockchain. And the blockchain exists in thousands of locations simultaneously all across the world. There's, I think, last time I checked, 10 or 11,000 Bitcoin blockchain holders, full-on blockchain holders. And Mark is literally walking up right now with a full-on suit. He's wearing a suit and looks and sneakers, I guess, and looks very silly. It's going to get hot. It's going to be very hot for him today. So anyway, talking about what a blockchain is, the idea is that you can't use fraud on a blockchain. You can't cook the books. So what happens is if you were to try to cook your books, if you had a copy of the blockchain and you edited that copy, then since you're connected to the Bitcoin network, all the other copies are constantly checking one another, and so essentially you would be rejected because the other 10,000 copies out there don't have that change, and you haven't authorized it with the proper cryptography or whatever. So you're done. You get booted. You're rejected. That's it. Now, maybe a bank can recognize that blockchain technology can lead to preventing of the cooking of the books, but if the only place they're implementing blockchain is within their own system, then you still have a completely centrally controlled system. It's completely subject to the cooking of the books. I mean, how many locations are they going to store their blockchain? So we can get into more on JPM Coin coming up here in moments. This is Free Talk Live.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. We're at Anarchapulco 2019. Day number 2. This is going to be a big one. Ron Paul, of course, later on tonight. And rumor has it he's actually going to be showing up, so that's good news. Judge Napolitano was a no-show last night. He Skyped in. But Ron Paul is not a chicken, and he's going to be here, I think. That's what I heard. I heard he was on a private jet. Somebody was able to verify that, so he's presumably coming this way. So that's exciting. Ian Freeman here in our remote studio, the beautiful Princess Resort within view of the ocean. The resort is right on the Pacific Ocean here. It's just absolutely stunning. The weather, of course, has been fantastic, just as it was last year. It's warm, but we're actually underneath an overhang here, and so it's very, very, it's actually somewhat cool here, and it's just a beautiful place with wonderful people. The vibe here at Anarchapulco is always very friendly. Everybody gets along. People are meeting one another because everybody in the hotel is here for Anarchapulco. The whole hotel has been rented by the event, and that's awesome. And it's an indicator of how successful this event has become over the years. So if you're just tuning in, I was discussing this news about the JPM coin. Now, this is the new so-called cryptocurrency, or let's call it a fake cryptocurrency, by J.P. Morgan. The very same J.P. Morgan with the CEO, Jamie Dimon, who has talked trash about Bitcoin. Well, now they're launching their own coin, and I don't know if they're calling it a cryptocurrency. That's not clear. I've not seen their press release, but certainly the mainstream media that is reporting about this. I mean, if you look up JPM coin in a Google News search, you'll see all these headlines emblazoned with JP Morgan's cryptocurrency, and it's not. It's not a cryptocurrency at all, and that's what Motherboard is explaining here. Motherboard.vice Lode.com. So they point out that it's not a cryptocurrency, and this is Jerry Brito, an executive director of DC-based policy research advocacy group Coin Center, said over the phone, quote, if JP Coin or JPM Coin is a cryptocurrency, then Facebook credits and World of Warcraft money are cryptocurrencies, said Jerry Brito. And then there's a nice little diagram where he shows Bitcoin, Ethereum, Monero. These are cryptocurrencies. World of Warcraft coin, JPM coin, V-Bucks, E-Gold, all these other things, these video game currencies, these dollar-based things. These are digital currencies. Okay, they're digital, but they're not crypto. The sticking point is that most cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Monero aim for decentralized control of the network, with many disparate computers working together to agree on the state of the shared ledger that keeps track of everybody's money, which is the blockchain. And I was explaining that in the last segment, in case you're just tuning in. The blockchain is this public ledger. In the case of most of cryptocurrencies, that's distributed, that's decentralized. There are thousands of copies. You cannot change one copy and essentially cook the books. And JPM Coin is not going to be like that. JPM Coin is fully in control, JP Morgan is fully in control of JPM Coin. And in the case of Bitcoin, more computers joining the network improves the system's overall security. JPM Coin, in contrast, runs on a permissioned blockchain called Quorum, with limited participants that must first be approved by JP Morgan Chase. So as Brito points out, and he does a good job here explaining the distinction, he says that, quote, it's the same distinction between AOL and the Internet. The Internet is open, so anybody who wants to create a blog, website, or consumer service can connect a server to the network without asking permission from anybody. And compare that to AOL. It was a permissioned network, where if you were a publisher, you had to go to the company and seek their permission. This key difference also speaks to the divergent use cases of Bitcoin and JPM Coin. For folks who believe that Bitcoin is best suited to serve as money, its open and public nature is core to that mission. JPM Coin, on the other hand, is designed to settle internal transactions for institutional clients. It's not money that anybody and everybody can use. So you don't just get to download a JPM Coin client and acquire some JPM Coin on one of these exchanges. It's not going to be there. It's basically an internal ledger for the use of JP Morgan. And it's just getting all this press as though it's actually cryptocurrency. And then they've got a nice little chart here that explains the difference between cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. They're public. They're open access. Okay, anybody who wants to participate can participate. You don't have to ask permission. And this is one of the things that makes cryptocurrencies great, is that there's no gatekeeper. There's no banker that's sitting there looking at identification, looking over application forms, and deciding whether or not you're welcome to participate in their system. With Bitcoin, you just download a wallet. A good one's Edge Wallet. That's an excellent wallet. But all of the wallets are free. You download the one that you want. Download more than one. Doesn't matter. You create your account by opening the wallet, setting a passcode. That's it. Now, I recommend you also back up the account because you don't want your phone to break or whatever. So there's a few steps to do it, but you're talking about a 5-minute process. 10 minutes if you're slow at reading and that you really want to understand things. So it does not take long to create a cryptocurrency wallet. So those are cryptocurrencies. They're open, completely open. The code is viewable by anybody. So even if you're not a programmer, there are programmers in the world who have looked at this code, the code for Bitcoin. JPM Coin, no, it will not be open. They will not be sharing their code with you. So you have no idea what their code is. And beyond that, you can't use it anyway because you're not their buddy. You're not one of their big clients that they would need to use this coin to settle accounts with. But there's a middle point here, right? So we talked about cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, but there's also what they call fiat-backed stable coins. So there's these cryptocurrencies out there that are tied to the value of the U.S. dollar. And they usually float at 99 cents, $1, $2, 98 cents, $1, somewhere in that range. They're usually worth no more or no less than that kind of range. So a couple examples of this are USDC or Tether. There are a few of them. There's several of these things out there now. And at first, I never really understood why these things are valuable, why it is that people want them, Why would you want to have a cryptocurrency that's valued in the dollar? Isn't that just a scam? And while I still don't trust these dollar-backed coins, because I think that in order to keep the value at what a dollar, they've got to manipulate the supply. It seems to me. Now, I'm not an expert on these things. I haven't taken a whole lot of time to research these dollar coins because I'm not generally interested. But I did finally figure out one reason why somebody would want them, and that's if for instance, if you want to have a dollar-based value on an exchange that doesn't accept dollar deposits, you can move these cryptocurrencies onto other exchanges, and that allows you to get out of a crypto like a Bitcoin, sell it for let's say the tethers or the USDCs. You sell it for these dollar-backed cryptos or dollar-tethered cryptos, and then you have dollar value on an exchange that you can then hold. If you, let's say, you're a trader or something, you're predicting, which, I'm not much of a trader, but if you are one of those folks, then having a dollar value backed, or dollar backed crypto like that can be useful. So they are also public. They're open access. And as they point out here on the chart, in the case of some stablecoins, only exchange customers can mint or redeem stablecoins, but anyone can trade or own them. So again, like Bitcoin, anybody can get Tether. There's no asking for permission to do that. And then we get to JPM coin, this new JP Morgan coin, which is permissioned, meaning that you don't get in unless you are, one of JP Morgan's buddies. And further, only institutional customers passing JP Morgan's KYC can transact with these coins. So it's a completely closed system. There's no open access. There's no cryptography likely. And even if there is, it's not anything you can audit, so you can't know how secure it is. And you have no idea, what the extent of blockchain usage or security or anything is. I mean, you're just completely at their mercy. This is not a cryptocurrency. But yet the mainstream media doesn't understand what cryptocurrency is, so they're reporting this thing widely as though it actually is. And it's not. As FT Alphaville's Jemima Kelly noted, a permission blockchain of the kind JPM Coin uses is essentially a database managed by its owner, JP Morgan Chase. Add to this the fact that the digital token simply represents money already, literally, in the bank, and one begins to wonder whether a blockchain by any definition is needed at all. Quote, in fact, some might argue JPM Coin already exists, and it's just a JPM deposit by another name. There's more coming up here. We're at Anarchapulco 2019. It's day number 2. We got more folks to talk to on the way here, and you can join us here. It's not too late to get out to Acapulco at the beautiful Princess Resort. We got more coming up on Free Talk Live. This is Free Talk Live. We're at Anarchapulco 2019 for day number 2. Got Ron Paul coming up here this evening. Of course, everybody's excited to see Ron Paul, especially those who've never seen him before. To tell you more about that tomorrow, of course. And in the meantime, we've got all kinds of interesting folks to talk to, including some of the sponsors here at Anarchapulco 2019. But one of the main sponsors is Bitcoin.com, and they're also a sponsor here on Free Talk Live, your premier source for everything Bitcoin related. Maybe you're brand new to cryptocurrency, you want to learn the basics. They've got a great introductory course there called the Bitcoin Academy. Just go to Bitcoin.com. Maybe it'll take you 10, 15 minutes to get through, and you'll learn the basics. Maybe you're not new and you want to get the latest news headlines. Well, they've got them over their news site at Bitcoin.com. You can also engage with their community on the Bitcoin forum. Learn more at Bitcoin.com. Now, as I've said before, this is by the way, I'm Ian Freeman with Free Talk Live. This conference last year, for the first time, it really felt like it was a cryptocurrency conference. And this year, I got to say, the same thing's true. Almost every sponsor here seems to be cryptocurrency related, and people in the conference are talking about cryptocurrencies. And so when you're walking into the main kind of hall area, there's a major sponsor, AGX Pay, that is going to catch your attention. You guys have some very attractive looking, graphics and a big setup. And apparently one of you is named Ian. Ian, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ian.
It's rare that I meet another Ian. But
running into you here.
But here you are, and it's Ian Richard of AGXPay.com. Now, I had not heard of AGX Pay before. How new is this thing?
Well, it's very new. For last year, we were here at the Anarchapulco show, and we had launched the project named Lode. And
there was because we interviewed somebody about a silver-backed currency.
Yeah,
last year.
Lode is a community that is constructing silver secure money, and now that silver money is ready. We've vaulted 16 million grams in 8 vaults worldwide, and the silver is secure. It has been tokenized, and now the AGX Pay system is ready to launch.
So what's the relationship between Lode and AGX Pay? I'm not clear on that.
The Lode token is purchased with silver, and that silver is then tokenized and enables the creation of AGX coins.
Okay.
So it works. The system
works. Are they 2 separate organizations?
Yeah, no, they're one community, but they're 2 different types of users.
I see.
You've got an owner of the silver, and you have a user of the silver. And in real life terms, the most appropriate reference to what this thing is maybe say Airbnb. Airbnb takes an owner of a property and finds it a user.
Right. That way it doesn't just sit there.
It doesn't just sit there. And, where did that come from? Just out of the blue, all of a sudden, people realize that they can monetize their home and make a few extra bucks.
Sure.
And it's a phenomenon, worldwide phenomenon.
Absolutely.
The next thing one of my favorites is Uber.
Yep.
Uber does that. Man, you get a nice black-looking black car. You list that into the system, and they'll find you a rider anywhere in the world.
Sure will.
And you know each other. You as a rider, you get to know the driver through the profile, and he gets to rate you afterwards, and the experience is managed. Essentially, Uber and Airbnb have solved certain inefficiencies that exist in
the old systems.
In the old systems.
Right. And they've been rewarded for it.
They've been rewarded for it. And in our system, the Lode community system is actually similar.
Mm-hmm.
We are enabling owners
of silver
with a technology that would enable them to put their silver to work and find a qualified user anywhere in the world.
So take me through this. Okay, so I've got silver.
Yeah.
I want to be a part of this. I then send it to these vaults.
You register at Lode, Lode.one, Lode.one, www.
So you're still taking incoming silver, even though you said you've got 16 million grams?
Absolutely. The system is open on both sides, just like Airbnb. You've got new owners joining Airbnb every day, putting their assets up into the system.
Right.
And then you've got users that just found out about it, and they want to go to Greece, or they want to go to Turkey, or somewhere like that, even Acapulco.
Okay, what was
my
the
wife
website?
and I are here on an Airbnb in Acapulco. We love it.
Lode.what? Lode.one?
Lode.one, Lode.one.
Yeah, okay.
And you create a member profile for yourself, and once you activate that member profile account, you have one of 2 choices you can make. Actually 3. You can become a member that just gets news, or you can activate some of your silver. And if you don't have silver, you can click on buy, and you can buy silver. And you'll be contacted by a bullion dealer that services your area.
And then that dealer sends it to the vault directly?
And that dealer
on
sends
your behalf?
it to the vault,
Okay. Or if I got silver in my own safe somewhere or buried in the backyard, I can dig that up, and then I can send it through the mail to one of these locations?
You enter in the weights and measures and the types of that silver, and then you'll be contacted by the bullion dealer, and they'll arrange for FedEx to come by and pick it up. And they'll take it to the vault.
And then what happens to it?
It gets secured.
Okay.
And then it gets signed in with an API, which is a security device that signs in the silver into the system. And then we have a role in the community, which is called the Vault Master. The Vault Master hits the key and enables the creation of the tokens. So the Lode token is the receipt for the silver that the owner of the silver puts into the vault.
I see. So and these tokens are tradable. These are digital tokens.
Exchangeable, transactable.
Is it cryptocurrency? Is it
it's blockchain enabled. Yeah.
Which blockchain is it based on?
It's based on it's a fork off of Bitcoin.
Okay.
Named Syscoin.
Okay, got it.
And the Syscoin guys are here with us, and they're brilliant guys. It's they're one of the top 5 blockchain developer groups in the world that we know of. But they have specifically taken this fork of Bitcoin, and they have powered it up specifically for these types of assets, securing physical assets on the blockchain. So they're powering both our tokens.
So the silver I send to the vault. The vault then enters that into the system and says, okay, now based on this weight of silver, you now have this many
Lode tokens.
Yep,
that's right.
Now, where does AGX Pay come into this picture?
Well, the silver then is securely vaulted, and it is tokenized and becomes AGX coins.
Okay. So Lode tokens are also AGX coins, or is there a difference?
No. Well, they're similar technology.
Okay.
But the Lode token is the digital receipt for your silver.
Okay.
Because you put it into the system. Have you ever used a valet service for your car?
No, but
no. Well, you know how they work, though, right?
Yeah, I know they work.
You drive up to a restaurant. You pass the keys to a young man, and sometimes they give you a little chit.
Yep.
A little chit is proof.
Ticket. Yeah.
It's a ticket. Yeah. That ticket. Your expectation is that when you come back to the stand and you give them the ticket, that your car is going to come back to you.
Right.
Yes, this system is very similar, and that process of valeting your car in law, that is called bailment.
Okay.
And you as the owner of the car, you are the bailor, and the user of the car, which is the valet, they are the bailee, and they have a responsibility to protect your car. And bring it back.
There's a contract there.
Sometimes they wash your car and it comes back even nicer. But you can't. The expectation is that you're going to get your car back. And this system is the same. You put your silver into the system for 5 years. You take back your digital receipt, which is your cryptographic signature, proving that you put silver into the system.
And these are the Lode tokens.
These are the Lode tokens.
Right, okay.
And then that silver is tokenized and made available to the 2 billion world in the world that are inflation impressed or unbanked.
All right, so I've got more questions. Can you stick with me for another
Absolutely.
segment?
Sure.
Okay, so more with Ian Richard from Lode.one, agxpay.com. It's an interesting concept, silver-backed cryptocurrency tokens. We got more on the way here from Anarchapulco 2019, and you can go to Anarchapulco.com to learn more about this great event. It's a beautiful location at the Princess Resort in Acapulco, Mexico. This is Free Talk Live.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live. We're at Anarchapulco 2019, and it is Ron Paul night tonight. Crowd is going to be gearing up here shortly, I imagine. But it's a beautiful day at the Princess Resort, talking with all kinds of folks, people that we've never met before, including another Ian. I found another Ian. He's Ian Richard from agxpay.com, also involved, I think, at some level with Lode.one. Are you involved over there too?
Yeah, we're involved with Lode.
So, because I was like, oh, yeah, we talked to those guys last year, the Lode.one folks.
Right.
And I thought, well, this is a neat idea because back, you don't know me from Adam, right? But we've done this show for a long time, since 2002, since way before cryptocurrency.
Right.
And we've always been interested in alternative currencies. And, of course, silver is a great alternative to the U.S. dollar because you can, and gold, you can protect the value that you've earned from the ravages of government inflation by having, silver. And I'm sure you probably used to be a silver bug, would be my guess, right?
We are silver bugs, yes. Yeah. Stackers, we call ourselves.
Still are.
Yeah.
And so now you've combined the world of cryptocurrency, which brings in so many different benefits of open source and distributed, decentralized ledgers. And I talked a little bit about that earlier in the hour before you got here. But there's so many benefits to cryptocurrency, and you've tied it together with silver. So basically, a silver-backed cryptocurrency token. That you can deposit silver into, you said 8? There's 8 different vault locations?
Yeah, 8 vaulting locations.
So I'm going to ask you a couple tough questions because I was involved with the Liberty Dollar. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, I am. Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
So I was involved with them, and as you may know, or certainly our listeners may not know, the Liberty Dollar was probably the most popular alternative currency. It wasn't just a silver ounce. It was denominated. It was sort of pushed out there as an intended currency, not just something to stack or hold on to, but something to try to
took
give
silver money back to a better time.
Or to buy something with,
right.
to take to the store and to try to spend silver. Obviously, Bitcoin's better at this than silver because it's hard to make change out of silver. There's issues with ounces of silver.
That's right.
But one of the big problems that turned out with the Liberty Dollar was they got raided. Their vault in Idaho, men with guns from the government came there and took all of their silver. Now, years later, there was a court process. people who were able to file the right paperwork were able to get their silver back. But this was years later, and it was just luck that you happen to get the silver back. In my case, I was too paranoid. I'm like, I'm not going to give the government my money and tell them I've got what essentially is contraband now.
Right.
If you have these Liberty dollars, it's technically or was at like one time contraband. So anyway, my question here is, what's going to stop? Is there any insurance? I mean, it's good that you have 8 locations, right? So they're in different countries, I presume.
Yes, distributed and pooled. Yes, these vaults are in 8 different jurisdictions.
So when I send 100 ounces of silver into Lode.one to turn it into this crypto, is it all sitting in one vault, or is it sort of, does it become fungible, and then if a vault gets raided in wherever you have it, I'm not asking you to reveal that information, but in whichever country, that government gets greedy and they're like, oh yeah, these guys got silver over there, let's go take that. Is there any kind of insurance? Is there any protection on that?
Yeah, it's all insured, and the vaults are all protected. Class 3 vaults insured with Lloyd's of London.
But is it insured against government?
Well, I mean, governments tend to do whatever they want, and they bring the pressure upon an organization or a community or an individual and try to break them, even though if it's not lawful or not.
Well, right. It doesn't matter the security that they have. Yeah. If a government goon shows up and puts a gun in the face of the the security agents, they're going to let them in.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's why my question is the insurance, does it protect against that?
Well, answer is no.
Okay,
it wouldn't protect against that. But there is some there's some comfort that can be gathered from the pool of silver that is pooled on behalf of all the users across the spectrum of these 8 vaults.
Meaning
if one of the vaults was raided and say 10% of the silver was stolen.
Yep.
And that's what it would be, is stealing the private property of individuals that have a verified, immutable digital token receipt for their silver. That would be a theft by a government or a central authority or a regulator, and you would have a direct claim on that. The community would have a direct claim. But what would
you guys would go to court? You'd fight that?
The community would gather together and go to court, absolutely, for that 10%. But what it would essentially mean is that the entire community has lost some of its value. Everybody takes the loss across the spectrum of the tokens.
So it's not like,
don't go to zero.
Ian's supply was all in that one vault.
Yeah.
You're saying once the deposit's made, it's sort of available as...
it's a community pool.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
And the lawful framework, again, for that is bailment.
Okay.
And it's called a bailment pool. And bailment is a very old law. It's a common law precedent, which is the foundational law for renting and leasing. And for anyone that's ever leased a property or leased a car, they know who the owner is, and they know what their rights are to use the property. And essentially, this is the same thing. When 2 individuals come together in the private to accomplish something, that is bailment. And so an owner of silver and a user of silver can come together in this community and put silver back to work as a sound medium of exchange, unit of account, and store of value. And the blockchain is where what powers this beautiful medium of exchange. Silver is heavy.
Yep.
Silver really is more effective in its store of value if it sits in a quiet place and it's insured and vaulted properly, as opposed to moving it around. Moving it around is expensive. Moving it around is heavy. Many folks that have ever had big stacks at home, they know the true cost and the true risk of storing lots of silver at home. This system alleviates some of that because if you've got 10 bars of silver sitting in your home and you want to put one of those bars to work, this is the system that could take 1 million users with 100 ounces each and construct the world's first cryptographic silver system.
Let me get another question in here about fees. Okay, so whenever you're vaulting a thing, you got to pay for the vault, you got to pay for the guards, you got to pay for the electricity, you got to pay for all the things that go into running a successful vault. So, what kind of fees are we talking about? If I'm putting in, 100 ounces of silver or something like that, how much of that's going to the fees, and how long do those fees last? And then are they assessed again after 5 years, or how does that work?
Over the spectrum of this system, the fees are 15%. So it costs you, based on the prevailing exchange rate, to get into the system to put your silver to work. You got to pay on the way in to obtain these load tokens. So load tokens, like anything else, if you're going to use Airbnb or you're going to put your private asset to work in a system like Uber or Airbnb, there's a fee.
Sure.
The fee in the system is 15% currently. And
that's when you're ingesting the silver.
When you're putting the silver into the system. Now, the community owns all the silver. It doesn't go to an individual. This 15% is part of the pool, and the pool is accounted for and audited and transparently disclosed to all the members. So the members know what's going on with the fee.
Yeah.
And the fees are for marketing of the AGX, storing and securing the silver, and constructing and managing the technology. And so it's not actually a very high fee. If you try to buy silver
for a period of time, is it 15% for or is it just a one-time
in?
Lifetime storage?
Lifetime in, yeah.
But presumably you're going to get more people putting in the silver, so that will continue to accumulate more.
Yeah, presumably the system is going to expand. And this is the idea, is that we're going to construct a monetary mass that's expandable. And this is people getting together as load token holders and enabling the creation of silver secure money for the people. And silver has historically been the money of the people. Gold is the money of the kings, but this is money of the people.
Anybody can afford an ounce of silver. Anybody.
That's right. Anybody can afford a gram of silver. And in our case, a gram of digital silver in our system, an AGX coin, is currently priced at 63 cents US, or 1.27 grams of silver. The system doesn't accept fiat. There's no fiat in the system. Right. It only works with silver, physical silver.
It's neat. I think that I hope this really works out for you, because I think that marrying cryptocurrency with silver, it's a tricky thing to do, and it sounds like you guys have a good plan. Check out agxpay.com and Lode.one, both related, and I'm sure we'll see you again here maybe next year.
Right on.
Thanks, Ian.
Thank you,
Ian.
Very much.
I appreciate
pleasure
it.
To meet you.
More coming up from Anarchapulco. It's Free Talk Live at Anarchapulco 2019. There's so many interesting folks here. You're going to hear new voices, as well as old friends of the show, and some folks we met for the first time last year, like Tim Picciott. Tim, welcome back to Free Talk Live.
Oh, thank you for having me, Ian. It's great to be back.
You are the Liberty Advisor, and I do want to advise one thing before we go on. Liberty.menu is a sponsor here at Free Talk Live, and it's a tool for individuals who reject the initiation of force and those who agree to abide by the ethics of the non-aggression principle. So what is Liberty.menu? It is a business directory, basically, for liberty-minded folks. So libertarians, voluntarists, liberty-loving anarchists, if you've got a thing that you do and you want other liberty people to know about it, well, if you're ready to come out of the closet, because if you want to stay in the closet and make sure nobody knows you're a libertarian, then just do that. But if you're ready to have people know, then go to Liberty.menu, and you can get on the map there. It's a nice, global map with pinpoints of all the different businesses and also digital content creators and events that you can attend. Very, very nice looking site, easy to use, and it's free. So free publicity for your business at Liberty.menu. You can sign up for free. You can put more than one entry on there, too, so there's no limit to the amount of entries that you can create to promote the things that you do to other liberty-minded folks. And because it's free, we can't give you a discount, but we can give you a code, FTL, that'll get you a special Free Talk Live listener badge over at Liberty.menu. So, Tim, we met last year at this event. You're back. You must have enjoyed yourself.
I did. And actually, it was a crazy, crazy story to get here.
Really? This time?
Well, last time, I'm not sure if you heard what kind of went on. So last year, in order for me to speak here, I had to end up resigning from my job where I had over over $100,000 of guaranteed income coming in. And then
you were like an investment advisor.
Yeah, and so I still am, but kind of more details on that a little bit later on. But what ended up happening is, so I ended up turning in my resignation paperwork, get on the plane. In the past, what had happened is, you resign at like 8 in the morning, and by 9 you're good to go. Well, they ended up not approving me till June. And so basically I was almost unemployed for all of last year to come here, but now I'm growing faster than ever, and the man can suck it. And
well, the good thing is you're money, so being unemployed for a little while, probably no problem. I suspect you had some savings that you could live on.
Yeah, I made some. I ended up selling. I bought a house at the exact low, and then just sold it probably at the exact high, and now I'm renting, kind of hoping that things go down a little bit. But no, at the end of the day, it's not about having a lot of money. For me, you want to have a good quality of life, and you also want to have, for me, an income stream coming in, and so I did a really controversial move of just saying, hey, I just wanted to focus on, like you were mentioning before, you want people to actually know that you're a libertarian, not, or voluntarist, not hide it.
Yeah.
And so my branding now is all around liberty. So I'm known as the Liberty Advisor. I was libertarian, got pissed off at that party, decided probably, sort of.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah, somewhat common theme around here. And so I also have a podcast. And so on the podcast, my logo is a porcupine with an AR-15, a joint in his ear, and revolution. And a lot of people told me, hey, that's probably not a very good thing for a financial advisor to do. But my thing is, if that pisses you off, then that's me qualifying you, not the other way around.
Right.
I don't have to waste my time.
You don't want that customer.
And no, because
right?
what's going to happen is, especially if you're like a police officer and you're going to see me post and you're going to get pissed off and then you're going to leave anyways. I'd rather just be up front and
get it done beforehand.
Yeah, not waste their time.
Not waste your time either, in that case. TheLibertyAdvisor.com is your website. So you did a rebrand. You got upset with the Libertarian Party. I quit the Libertarian Party. Used to be a life member of the National Libertarian Party, and I quit in 2008 because I was so frustrated with how unprincipled they were being. Because when I joined in the late 90s as a teenager, they were the party of principle. That's what they called themselves. And they had this, signature statement you have to sign to join the party that says, I don't support or advocate the initiation of force to achieve political or social goals. And that's a real voluntarist kind of hardcore libertarian statement. But then the party just kind of starts to nominate these people that obviously don't understand what they signed, if they signed it. The party's putting out press releases that are not principled, and I'm just like, that's it. I can't support these people anymore. And it was a long building process for me. Was there one particular, thing for you?
The one particular thing, because I didn't know a lot of the inside baseball. I didn't discover this Libertarian Party until actually 2009. I was
already quit by then.
Yeah, so I was in, grew up in upstate New York, went to a liberal arts college, knew all that was BS. So I was able to escape that matrix, but I hadn't been exposed to Ron Paul or exposed to any of this. I just knew all that was completely false. Then basically what happened was, I think it was August 12th of 2016, Bill Weld came out and said that handguns were more dangerous than AR-15s and that you can remove some sort of pin and then all of a sudden you can make it automatic. And I'm like, that is the final straw.
By the way, for listeners that don't know, we should say Bill Weld breaking right now. Well, hold on. For people that don't know, because most people don't know who the hell's Bill Weld. He's the Libertarian Party's vice presidential nominee. So you've got the second, most important person in 2016 in that election for the Libertarians, the vice presidential nominee, coming out and saying stupid crap like this that has no basis in reality, that's clearly anti-gun, fear-mongering. This is their vice presidential nominee. So no wonder you were upset about that.
And then he was also, a Council on Foreign Relations member. I mean, then he vouched for Hillary the week of the election. He
went to bat for her on the air during interviews on Fox and CNN more than once during the election.
Yeah, so he'll be a perfect fit for the Republican Party.
He'd be a fit for the Democratic Party too.
Exactly.
He's a total politician and total scum. And when I first heard about Bill Weld, I thought, he's because I never heard of the guy before. Somebody said, he's a former governor of Massachusetts. I'm like, that's all I need to know. He's terrible. I don't need to know anything about what his viewpoint is on anything. He's a former governor of Massachusetts, one of the most statist, worst places on the planet as far as the United States. It's one of the worst. It's one of the most pro-government places. This guy is the nominee. I don't need to know anything about it.
Yeah, the only
the more I learned, the worse it got.
The only person from Massachusetts in terms of running for political office that I liked was did you see that Dr. Shiva Ayugadari? He was the real Indian to try to defeat the fake Indian, Elizabeth Warren. Not sure if you've heard of him. So, yeah, so I got him on Ernie's show a few times, and that was Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock. And
great show.
So it was a guy who's from India. He has the actual, whereas Elizabeth Warren is she was claiming to be Native American, and his whole deal was, only the real Indian can defeat the fake Indian, and he put it on these billboards up in Cambridge, and then the city hall said that they had to take it down. But this guy's very successful. Started multiple busithings worth tens of millions. And then he ended
up a real businessman.
He also has not that we're fans of patents over here, but he also I don't think it's a patent, but he basically is credited for inventing the modern email system as well, and has it actually on file. And this has 4 PhDs, brilliant. And so of course, you'd think that he would get some sort of press. Obviously, given all the. I'm wearing a "Don't Censor Me" Alex Jones shirt right now, so I'm well aware of what goes on with censorship. But no, barring that one individual who probably got 2% of the vote, no one else in Massachusetts has been good in my book.
Yeah. bad. Massachusetts is an absolute mess. So I'm glad I don't live there. So thelibertyadvisor.com, you've rebranded because, well, again, the Libertarian Party is not something you necessarily want to brand yourself with. I still accept the term libertarian just because I still kind of like the word, but at least it doesn't have the baggage that anarchist does. Of course, voluntarist is my preference. I like the term voluntarist. It says what it is I'm in favor of. Anarchist is what you're against. You're against rulers. That's what anarchy is. And I'm not, I don't begrudge anybody for trying to use that label, but to me, it's just too, you wouldn't want to call yourself the anarchist advisor, right? Like it wouldn't.
So it's basically like a glass half full versus half empty approach, but to accomplish the exact same thing.
Well, I mean, voluntarism is I would say it's even better of a term because, a voluntarist is somebody who believes all human interaction should be consensual. And that's it. It doesn't say anything else about, what you're in favor of. It doesn't say you're a capitalist. It doesn't say you're a communist or anything like that.
I like Ernie's saying where it's leave me alonist. I don't want to tell you what to do. You don't tell me what to do, and we're good.
I love Ernie. Ernie Hancock, of course, we had him on yesterday from Declare Your Independence over at the Freedom's Phoenix site. So what are people going to find quickly when they go to thelibertyadvisor.com?
So what they're going to find is I'm also a financial advisor, so you've got some information about what I do in that regard, but also in the upper right-hand corner, you're going to see a link for a podcast where I've got the Crypto Wealth Show, which is all things crypto, and also have the Liberty Advisor Show, which was sort of basically like a pro-Bitcoin version of like a Peter Schiff show type deal. But then what happened is, a lot of people are like, hey, I love your information on the stock market and politics, but I don't like crypto. And some people are like, I like crypto, but I don't like this. And I thought for like branding, SEO purposes, it might be wise to split them up. But it's all underneath the same thing. So if you can go to, all the different places you can get it. And now are found on the website. But also I'm trying to emphasize decentralized media like BitChute, BitTube, DTube, DLive, all of that sort of stuff. So the only reason I'm on some of these enemy platforms is to tell people to get off those enemy platforms. Because I went from 1,200 subscribers a day at one point to literally 0 overnight for the next 2 years. And so pretty much what happened is Bill Weld sort of radicalized me in order to go against him. Within 2 months, I had 32,000 people following me, and now I've got like 31 because I've pissed off some people. But it's still
I guess we have to thank him then. So if Bill Weld is the reason why you got radicalized, I guess we owe him something then. Thanks, Bill.
Yeah, and I've had to put up with a lot of crap, especially growing up in New York, and that was the final linchpin that finally did it. But some of the things I'm doing that are sort of interesting. So I'm doing crypto IRAs.
We're out of time.
I'm sorry.
Out of time for the day, but we can have you back. We're here for 2 more days. TheLibertyAdvisor.com. He's Tim Picciott. This is Free Talk Live. We got more coming up tomorrow, and Ron Paul's tonight, so we'll let you know how that went tomorrow's show. It's Free Talk Live.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, the inventor of MyPillow, and like all of you out there, I had problems sleeping. Pillows would go flat, I would flip-flop all night long, I would wake up with a sore neck, maybe a headache, or feel like I needed a nap even though I slept 8 hours. When I invented MyPillow, I wanted it to where you can move the patented fill to give you the exact support you need as an individual, regardless of sleep position. MyPillow will get you into that deep sleep faster, and you will stay there longer. It's not about how much time we spend in bed, it's about how much of that quality sleep we get. I do all of my own manufacturing right here in the United States. I have a 10-year warranty. You can wash and dry MyPillow, and I give you a 60-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose.
And here's Mike's best offer ever. MyPillow is now offering 50% off their 4-pack special plus free shipping. Go to MyPillow.com or call 800-951-5617 and use promo code FTL. That's 50% off plus free shipping. Don't delay. Order now.